Sometimes we forget why we're here. It's easy to fall off track. These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Growing up I had a dream, something no one else could see. Tell me what it means when your faith is falling beneath your knees and you can't breathe. Everything you see reminds you of what you're not or something you won't be. You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business. Not because they wanna do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shame. And that's the reason I'm staying up late, trying to find a way to escape the stereotypes. This day and age is making me feel like the only way I'll be happy is getting signed to a label and making money through rapping. I wanna share my emotion because this world is attacking the very principle of life that lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live? These battle scars are impressions of everything that it is.
Don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Now, if I had a voice that reached 100 million people, I'd tell them there's a reason that we're all created equal. Cause some decide to be great and some decide a sequel to an average person's life is simply what they want to be. So you make your decision, all I know is what I'm given. Won't define the life I lead or the way I dwell in existence. I've seen a greater image on the walls of where I'm living, and the words twisted and scripted remind me of something written. Faith is a gift that is given down to the people. If one believes it, one receives it. It's given if it is needed. Don't ever think you're trapped in a life that you never wanted. Your options are infinite, that's some mathematical logic. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers and these battle scars on my church. Not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers, these battle scars on my church.
Don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Well, hello everyone. How are you doing? I hope this volume is good. It looks like it. Let me just look at my meters here. And yeah, I'm doing much better than I was at the office. I don't like where I'm seated. There we go. The lighting is better. I don't have something gross in my teeth. And I decided, because, listen, I'll admit it. What I'm going to say tonight is absolutely true, but I'm the first to admit that I'm still ass mad over what happened to me, and this is being a catty little bitch, and I figured if I'm going to be a catty little bitch, I'm going to be the queen catty little bitch. Plus, this was something I wore to the Colorado convention. We had a disco night, and I figured, you know, I bought this a while ago. I might as well use it for my show. It matches like my shirt a little bit. And you want to know what it reminds me of, any of you guys? Well, I think this book is even still popular today. Anyone remember Where the Wild Things Are? Doesn't this remind you of the throne of the crown and Where the Wild Things Are? So I figured I'm just going to be a wild thing tonight. And I got my grifting message here. So let's start. While I'm doing my grifting, comrades, let's just do a lot of different costumes here. Why shan't we? I should put on my lobster hat too. While I'm doing my grifting, we are coming up to the end of January, which is always a pretty. You could see the rest of you could see my monitors in the screen here. Steven, you guys could probably. I don't know. I just think it's funny the way you can see what I'm. Never mind. I'm being goofy. I had a really long day at work. I just got off work. I ran in the door, said, Wayne, I've got to do a show. And JJ says, yes, it does look like the crown from Where the Wild Things Are. But I had a whole disco outfit that I wore with this. I should wear the disco outfit one time because there's a picture of me. I should find the picture of me giving a speech with the disco outfit on, but because it was so snazzy and I'm holding a mic, it looked like I was singing. It looked like I was a singer, a lounge lizard singer or something. But anyway, yeah, we're ending the end of January, which supposedly is a terrible month for YouTubers. I've held steady this month, but if you can help me reach my goal for January, I can't remember exactly what it is right now. I think I need another $25 a month in patrons. So patreon.com/Pink Flame of Liberty. I also would appreciate it if anyone feels like giving super chats tonight. All super chats go towards my campaign. I got a really nice surprise campaign donation in the other day with a letter that was a tearjerker for me. I did send portions of the letter where I protected the identity of who wrote it because I didn't have permission to share that to JJ and Mike and DL. And boy, you know, if I get to speak to the individual who sent it, I would like to get permission to share parts of the letter, not necessarily their name. I'm not trying to out anybody, but I know it's only January, but so far that letter made my year because it encapsulated, it showed me that other people get me, that understands why I do what I do. But for tonight, I think that's it for the grifting for tonight and the thank yous and all of that. I intended tonight upon doing a history podcast. But lo and behold, a gift was given to me from on high on the LNC business list. Listen, we're supposed to be, now I know we're acting like a bunch of clowns, a bunch of corrupt clowns. And you know, when you're the third largest political party in the country, even though I know we're way away from the second, we've been around for 50 years. We're a national party. When you are running for a national position, it's not the same as running for a county position. It's also not the same as running for a state position, though some states are giant, you know, and it's a little bit different. And I'm saying that for a reason that I'll tie into later. But if you're running to be national chair, you sure as hell better know how to run a meeting. I mean, that shouldn't be too much to ask. And our national chair can't run a meeting, even though allegedly she ran Texas, which is a state that's bigger than most countries. If you're going to run for national treasurer, you probably should have an accounting background of some kind. And Tim Hagen's an excellent treasurer. Okay, so he's definitely a national level treasurer. If you're going to run for vice chair, you better be prepared to step in and be chair. And Ken knows how to run a meeting. Secondly, this person didn't run, but if you're going to seek to fraudulently replace the duly elected secretary, you better be sure that you know how to be a secretary. And what's the most basic part of being a secretary is preparing a decent set of minutes. I don't think that's asking too much. I mean, call me crazy. And some people may go, well, you didn't have any prior political secretarial experience before you ran for secretary. True. But I've had 2 decades plus of paralegal and secretarial experience at major law firms, which translated over well easily. Paralegal translates very well to a national level secretary, okay? I knew I could do the job, and I spent a long time watching Alicia. And when I first went into the job, I mimicked Alicia because Alicia Matson is a good secretary. There are some people who said I was a better secretary than Alicia. I don't know if that's true or not. If that is true, that's about the highest compliment anyone could give me. Alicia is a damn good secretary. But that should be a minimum. When I was running against Alicia in 2018, I said at the national level, neither she or me should be saying we could do minutes or we could do the basic functions of a secretary. At the national level, it's the extra that you bring. And the extra that she brought was that she was a PRP. The extra that I bought is that I'm absolutely obsessed and I don't sleep. And I put in a hell of a lot of work. I mean, we each brought our extras. But at the national level, you shouldn't have to say you know how to do minutes. Okay? That should just be a given. Now, the person who fraudulently replaced me, and shame on anyone who would sit in that seat, because everyone damn well knows what happened wasn't right. Even the people who did it know it wasn't right. If you're going to presume to do that, like if the roles were reversed, and I'm talking obviously about the person who the LNC is considering their secretary and who most of the members don't, and that's John Wilford. If I was going to have the balls to try to take the seat that a lot of people didn't think was legitimately vacant of a very popular secretary, I'd make sure I knew what the hell I was doing. And if I didn't, I would have somebody proofread my minutes. You want to know what I did for the first 6 months because I was scared when I took Alicia's seat? Is I had past secretaries review my minutes. I had people proofread them. I had a whole proofreading team before I dared to submit them to the LNC list because I knew we were at pro level now, baby. There wasn't any time for dumb mistakes. Now, there's going to be mistakes in every piece of work. I have a book that is still on the curriculum at Liberty University. Okay, that is pretty high level of theological work. I found an error in it, not a factual error, but I found a copy editing error. But the book's like 400 pages long. The fact that I found only one, I find errors in books all the time when I'm reading, and there's usually still, even in ones of professional publishing houses, you can still find probably one error in each of them. A lot of times it's a word that a spell check wouldn't catch. You know, those damn homonyms. But, you know, that's okay. That's within the margin of error. But if you're presuming to be the national secretary of any organization, be it a political party, be it any kind of organization, the American Bar Association, I don't care what it is, you shouldn't have numerous basic grammatical and just ugly errors. Never mind substantive errors. Have somebody look at them. And that's what's going on right now. And it's freaking embarrassing. Now, John, he's a cutie pie. He's got a great smile, like he's a cutie pie. I can see why he was a popular Texas chair. And I am absolutely convinced, and even Whitney said if he had ran against her, she wouldn't have won. And I believe it in a second, because he is just a pleasant person. And that counts for a lot when you're a chair. Because Whitney projects as chair being a generally unpleasant person. And it's not just the RBF. It's the whole attitude. Whereas John is a pleasant person. And he's always smiling. And he's a cutie pie. But he is not secretary. I am sorry. He is not ready for prime time. I would be embarrassed to see the errors in these minutes from a county secretary. Never mind national level politics. And we're going to go over some of these errors because I don't want you to take my word for it. I don't want you to think I'm just being like nitpicky bitch. Now, some of you still might think that because you might not realize that this is actually kind of a big deal. You might go, what are you picking on that for? It's because we're at the national level. If our national secretary can't put a period at the end of the sentence, why should anyone elect us to federal office? Why should anyone want to vote for our presidential candidate who'll have the key to the nuclear codes? If we can't do basic grammar that third graders can do. And it's not that I don't think John knows grammar, it's just he didn't proofread his shit. And I've offered, Ryan, to any secretary, I'll take a look at anyone's minutes and give you hints. And I might learn something from yours. I'm actually going to do a show, as was suggested, on how to be a secretary. Maybe John will watch it. My God, though, this is just embarrassing as a party. But what's worse is anyone who had been following the LNC list for any amount of time knows that the minute I put my minutes up, and I actually am not bitching about him doing this, I appreciated it. When Alicia was on the board, the minute I put my minutes up, she scoured them for errors. Of course she did, because she was a bit ass mad that I beat her, and I don't blame her, because I'm super competitive too. I would probably feel the same way. Like, Alicia and I are a lot alike. She's just a super competitive woman, so am I. But Tim Hagen would scour my minutes, and he would point out when I had an extra space after a word. Like, if I hit 2 spaces instead of 1 space, he would find it. And minutes that were 40-something pages long, he would find a stray space or a missing comma. You're going to tell me this crap with me ain't personal? When you see the sloppy-ass minutes that get put up by John and no one says a word when they would ride my ass over a separate space. And let me tell you something. I didn't mind being called out in the separate space because I want to get better. You can always be better. But you're not going to tell me that the shit with me wasn't personal when you have Richard frickin' Longstreth today saying the minutes that were put up looked good? In what universe, Richard? In what frickin' universe? Now, when the December minutes sucked, because frankly they did, and we're going to go over it, I was like, well, you know, he got thrown, I don't want to say thrown into it because he ran for that position. He should have been prepared because the fix was in. He was chosen before there was a vote. But the December minutes are hard because they're the budget meeting. The budget meeting is hard. I did get thrown into a budget meeting. New Orleans, they got a 1/4 inch of snow, and apparently that was enough to shut down the airport, and Alicia couldn't make it to the meeting because they canceled all the flights. And with like 5 minutes notice, Nick Sarwark said to me, well, we're going to appoint you Secretary Pro Tem for this meeting. And I wasn't even thinking of running for National Secretary at that point. Maybe I'd been kind of thinking of it, but I really enjoyed being Region 1. But I managed to put out a good set of minutes. You want to know how I did that? By copying Alicia, because she knew what she was doing. Okay, so let's go back to the December ones, shall we? Joshua, by the way, moved to substitute the minutes I did because I still did the December minutes because I'm still secretary as far as I'm concerned, and as far as very many members are concerned. I did my own set of minutes. And Joshua moved to substitute my set of minutes for Mr. Wilford's set of minutes. And Richard and some people, you can't do that. Yes, you can. You can. That, I mean, I won't say that's common, but it's perfectly in order to substitute in a different set of minutes. Just like it's perfectly in order, if you think the secretary's minutes suck, to move that the creation of minutes be sent to a committee. Okay? So there were no arguments. All Richard could say is, I suggest if Miss Harlows has a problem with the minutes, she should take it up with the secretary. How about you, who are actually on the National Committee and should care about our reputation, actually proofread the frickin' minutes? Don't tell me to. I prepared my own set for the members. But let's go. Let me pull up on the screen here. Actually, I don't need to. I can show you some of them, but I'm just going to go through some of the issues that went on with the December minutes. We were on version 2 by the time I commented on them. And I'm going to be reading what Joshua Smith posted to the list because obviously I wrote this part for him to let him know what was wrong with the minutes. And so this is what it says. It says, this list is not thorough, but here are many problems with the Wilford second draft. Formatting. The footer is broken in its formatting. The line, is all wonky. I'm going to show you. And many of the header titles and inserts intrude into the margins. The margins weren't even right. If Mr. Wilford could not get Ms. Harlow's formatting to work, and I've said this in another show, I'm going over this for a second time because I want to show that things haven't really improved. He should have deleted and created his own rather than using items that are obviously not formatting correctly. Because I have heavily formatted template. It's not surprising to me that somebody couldn't get it to work because I know how I formatted it. And Word is fussy. He would have been better off just creating his own template. There are also many missing hard returns, which are needed for ease of reading and formatting. For example, see the many iterations of the LPDE motion, which are missing hard returns between the paragraphs of the resolution and virtually unreadable. Headers. Headers are used completely inconsistently. Sometimes new business with previous notice or new business without previous notice is correctly headed. Other times it's not. Incorrect citation of motions. Strike-throughs and the like should not be included in recitations of the motion after the amendments have already passed. This is done repeatedly in the section of LPDE and also in the Hagen Policy Manual Amendment. Spelling and grammar. Otto Dassing is noted as David Dassing. Richard Longstreth is noted as Richard Logstreth. Received is spelled R-E-I-E-V-E-D, meaning it didn't even go through a spell checker. Mr. Molman is Mr. Molmend. With is spelled W-T-I-H. A Mr. is missing a period. There's a missing space between Mrs. and Adams, and Ms. Adams is not a Mrs. There is a sentence fragment on page 11. On page 33, Razor's Edge, which is supposed to be spelled R-A-I-S-E-R. It's fundraiser, Razor's Edge, is called razors with a Z, like what you'd shave your face or your legs with edge. And it's inconsistent. In some spots it's spelled right, and others it's spelled wrong. It says items missing. When reports are given orally, the substance of the report, if not the exact words, are required to be included per RONR. When points of order are ruled on, the chair's reasoning must be stated. The teller's report on page 13 should list how everyone ranked people, so members do not have to try to collate that information themselves from the handwritten ballots. And then because they made a pot shot at me saying my minutes had clutter in them, which they did not. Clutter, according to them, was including names of the members who were in the gallery that spent sometimes thousands of dollars to be at a meeting. I'm sorry, that is not clutter. So, unneeded actual clutter. Minutes are not required to mention seconds, and neither are seconds required by our policy manual, and it is explicitly stated by our ONR that such should not be included. After nearly every motion, the unneeded phrase, "the motion received a second," or the like, is repeated. Additionally, it is completely unnecessary to recapitulate the entire agenda again each time it is amended, which adds unneeded pages and was not even done consistently in the Wilford draft, but sometimes yes and sometimes no. Wrong appendix references. Multiple appendices are referenced with wrong letters in the main minutes, including all of the regional reports. Also, in general, items which are useful for member information as they relate to the business conducted are not included as appendices and should have been. Wrong cover page. The latest Wilford draft is version 2 and updated around January 8th, 2021, yet the cover page still says version 1 with a December amendment date, and the footer still says version 1. Motions. There are many missing motion numbers. Our policy manual requires us to assign motion numbers. While the definition of what is substantive, which requires numbers under the policy number, is subjective, it is a long-standing practice that anything that had a roll call vote is substantive and requiring numbering for easy reference by members to keep LNC members accountable. Also, the motions approving the prior minutes have always been numbered. Videos. Putting videos on a personal playlist which may not exist in the future nor is maintained by the party is not appropriate. These videos exist on party assets, LPedia, and YouTube and should be linked from there. Miscellaneous. Regarding distribution of the conflicts of interest, the phrase pro tem should be inserted after secretary. On page 14, it says that Harlow's fielded questions and comments when she was not even present at the meeting. I wasn't even there, apparently, and I fielded questions and comments. As noted publicly, and against the new unwritten rule that LNC members are not supposed to publicly criticize regular members by Mr. Longstreth, who never corrected, to my knowledge, the public record where he tried to shame me, for not submitting a report and claiming that was a mark against me reseeking office when I did, in fact, submit a report. So, they were crazy bad. The minutes were crazy, crazy bad. But now we've got some new sets, okay? These new sets are short minutes. Even though the meetings were long, there wasn't much substance to the meetings. We're talking about the special meeting on Massachusetts, and I forgot what that other. There was an XCOM meeting as well. So there was an XCOM meeting, and then there was an LNC special meeting. So I'm going to be pulling up the minutes for the XCOM meeting. Just give me 1 second here. And I haven't even really thoroughly reviewed them, but I glanced at them and was like, holy shit, these look terrible. So let me pull up my screen. Okay, so here we go. Here's the minutes. What the hell's with this weird gray area? You obviously broke that formatting box. That just looks ugly as hell, but okay. Let's go down here. So, you see, he knows how to put periods after sentences, but is missing a period after the chair noted a quorum, which you don't have to put that in the minutes. That's completely unnecessary. And then all of a sudden, Dassing arrived at the meeting. Okay, no period. Opportunity was given for public comment. Period. Radcept arrived at the meeting. Okay, no period. Public comment continued. No period. What? Smith moved to turn on chat. This is the weirdest. It's just weird. This is a rough draft, a very rough draft. Oh boy. Okay. So you can see this is a super, super short meetings, but and you can see these bars are still going over into the margins. I don't know what's going on after that. And usually we put Mr., but whatever. See, look at all these missing hard returns that are just make it super, super difficult to read. There's no motion number. There's no motion number. Look at all these things here. And just motion failed. These are just sloppy, rough draft minutes. Motion passed. Doesn't give the totals. And, there you go. These are county level minutes. I can show you an example of mine if you would if you'd like to. But so that is the EC meeting where and I see the questions, Ryan, I'll answer that in a minute. Where I would think the censure of an LNC member is a substantive frickin' motion. There's no motion number, which is required. Okay, now let's go over to the ones from the LNC meeting about Massachusetts. Plus, I want to go back to these here a second, too. I want to go up to the title page. Okay, these are not meeting minutes of the LNC. These are meeting minutes of the executive committee, so the title's wrong. I didn't even notice that before. But anyway, let's go here. Oh, I will be submitting my minutes. I always do. Okay, that's correct. It was a that isn't the XCOM, so we're good there. See the broken footer? See these weird lines? This is supposed to be a double line. He's using my template, but it's completely broken. Look, that just looks nonsensical. And what does the O1 mean? I know it means draft one, but most people wouldn't know that? And why does it still say Boston, Massachusetts on the bottom? The frickin' minutes still say Boston, Massachusetts on the bottom. And I want to show you something here. Richard, minutes look fine at my pass. Really, Richard? You didn't even notice that the footer still said Boston, December 4th through 5th? When you guys used to go through my minutes to find a missing space? Are you out of your frickin' mind? Okay, footer still says Boston. Does this one say Boston at the bottom too? This one doesn't even have a footer. Oh my God, okay. All right, this is for 2022. He's still using the ballot tally sheet from 2021. Like, I'm hardly even reviewing these and I'm noticing this. And you're going to tell me Richard thoroughly reviewed these. They're only like 6 pages long. They're not long at all. Okay. Who's Laura Epke X? Is that like Latinx? I mean, look, did anyone proofread these? Look, Laura Epke X. And Joshua Smith was absent. I know he arrived a little late. You don't note him as absent. You maybe put a footnote in saying that he wasn't there initially for roll call or whatever. My goodness. It still says David Dassing. His name is Otto Dassing. After Joshua Smith publicly embarrassed this guy by saying in the December minutes that, dude, his name is Otto, he again put him down as David Dassing. That's a different sentence, Ryan. That was a different set of minutes. This is a new set of minutes. I know, the minutes aren't even internally consistent. Okay, this one also, yeah, there's Boston again. Why would you put people, never mind, I'm just not even going to get into it. Substantive motions that don't have motion numbers. None of these have motion numbers. Did he forget that you're supposed to do motion numbers? And up here, okay, he changed substantive final main motions in green. Okay, he changed my wording. But if it's a main motion, where are the motion numbers? And just motion passed. My God. Okay, now he stuck a motion number there. Okay, good. So we got one motion number, but everything that had a roll call has been, anything that has a roll call is considered substantive. Motion was out of order. How was it out of order? Like, these are not even county level minutes. My God. Okay. And yeah, normally with this, you'll notice if we go to this one where the adjournment is, notice how he did it highlighted and italicized, which is how it's supposed to be. He did these minutes at the same time here. The adjournment doesn't have a period and isn't even consistent with this other set of minutes that he did. Like, these are just terrible. They're objectively awful. And to see that Richard Longstreth actually said they look fine. They have a footer that says Boston, Massachusetts. I don't think this one ever even says Joshua Smith arrived. The other one did. Let me do a word search here for Smith. Hold on, I don't have my glasses on for my keyboard. 1 second. And I keep having to switch between Windows and Mac between home. So he's saying Joshua Smith is absent. Okay, why they don't have, you don't put in a line and no blanks. Oh my God, I can't. Did he say he arrived? Yeah, now Smith arrived at the meeting. Okay, he did. Hewitt arrived at the meeting. It's just... Okay. Alrighty. These are just objectively bad. And they're only 8 pages long. Richard couldn't, and most of them are charts. So, yeah. This is not national level minutes. Richard didn't review them. I should go and pull up the types of review that Hagen used to do for my minutes. But if anybody who's followed the list knows that. And I was appreciative of the review. But not a peep. Not a peep on these objectively awful minutes. And he made the same errors he made. Like, if somebody ever caught an error I made, I didn't make it twice. You didn't need to tell me twice. If somebody pointed out that I was calling auto dassing David dassing, I wouldn't do that multiple times afterwards. There's no care at all taken in these. So, here we go. That's not national level. Don't know what to tell you. Epke X. At the national level, you don't make these kinds of mistakes. And the fact that the rest of the LNC is silent on it just goes to show you. This was all personal. This is not National Secretary material. Objectively so. All right, that's all I've got for you guys for tonight. I've got a couple parliamentary letters to write. Fun, fun, fun. Until Daddy took the T-Bird away. So we will be heading out. I will hopefully tomorrow not have any LNC crap to have to talk about. And will do the history stuff that I had wanted to do. But I didn't want you guys just to take my word for it that these were lousy minutes. Those 2 sets were particularly bad and not worthy of a county secretary, never mind a national secretary. We should all be embarrassed, because these are public, that this is the Libertarian National Committee on the national stage. All right, y'all. I will see you. I will see you later, and I hope you have an awesome night. Bye-bye.
Given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in the business.